accountable.
Oh, Bill.
We'll reconvene the meeting. Our next topic is communication. We have no one here to speak publicly, so we will move on to superintendent recommendations and reports. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Begley. At this time, Mrs. Hauer will be covering the items listed under personnel, professional, and personnel support.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Begley and members of the board, I have several items for your consideration this evening under personnel professional. Number 1, resignations, letters A through I. Number 2, unpaid leaves of absence, letters A through C. And number 3, employment, letters A through Y. And that concludes all of the items I have for your consideration this evening under personnel professional.
Thank you, Mrs. Hauer, for this report and for all the work. We've got a lot of new hires, don't we?
We've been busy.
Yes, you have. Thank you. Do we move on from here, or do we vote?
Motion.
Motion, okay. A motion to accept the recommendations as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Gundrum and Mr. Clark. Mrs. Lane, call the roll?
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mr. Begley and members of the board, I have several items for your consideration this evening under personnel support. Number 1, resignations, letters A through L. Number 2, unpaid leaves of absence, letters A through D. And number 3, employment, letters A through J. I would like to bring special attention to letters G and H under employment. We are very excited to be recommending Katie Lozier for the position of Food Services Director. She's here with us this evening. Wave so they know who you are, Katie.
Katie, congratulations.
Mrs. Lozier is a Fairfield graduate who, after receiving her bachelor's degree in finance, recently completed her master's program in nutrition and dietetics. Her knowledge and skills in the area of both finance and nutrition will be very valuable and serve her well in this new role that she's in. Katie completed a lengthy 2-year program with built-in internships where she gained hands-on training and experience in each area of dietetics, most recently at Cincinnati Public Schools, where they had nothing but the most wonderful things to say about her and their experiences working with her. We believe her passion for improving the health and nutrition of all of our students here in Fairfield and her love of the Fairfield City School District will serve her very well in this role. So we're excited to recommend her. We are also equally as excited to recommend Mr. Steve Oglesby, who is also here with us this evening. David Oglesby, I'm so sorry, David Oglesby, as our next Assistant Transportation Director. So Mr. Oglesby joins our district with over 22 years of experience in the pupil transportation industry, and he started out his career as a bus driver and is eager to start this new leadership position. He comes to us from Kettering City Schools, where he has been working very successfully as the Assistant Transportation Supervisor there, and he has a wealth of knowledge and experience that we are confident will benefit our district. He is most definitely dedicated to the transportation industry and wants to ensure that our students are transported very safely each and every single day. So we're excited to recommend him as well.
Absolutely. Great.
That concludes my items for your consideration under personnel support.
Thank you, Mrs. Hauer. I entertain a motion to accept the recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Clark and Mrs. Shorter, any discussion?
Thank you both for joining us. Appreciate it. We're excited to have you on board. Yeah.
That is great. Katie, David, welcome aboard, and you now know what it takes to be a golden apple. Mrs. Lane, call the roll, please.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mr. Begley?
Yes.